Hey guys. I've wanted to make this video for quite a while now, but the reason why I didn't is obviously because we were not done with Cloudrest ourselves. So I didn't want to spread out the strategies that we used for no reason. Even though some of them are obviously a bit, I'd say, obvious by this point. I mean, the trial has been out for 2 months already, so everybody more or less knows what to do here. Anyway, what this video is not going to be about, well, it's not going to be a basic strategy guide for Cloudrest+3 at all. As I said, I feel like all the strategies are really out there already, and everybody knows the basic mechanics. I'm going to be mentioning some not so basic things, some things that people might not everybody might not know yet, but yeah, when it comes to the really basic stuff, I'm just not going to be talking about it in this video. There are plenty of other sources for that information. Yeah, what this video is going to be about, however, is really an all-around raid leading guide for more advanced groups. Now, I'm not really talking about groups that are progressing +1, +2, maybe not even cleared +3 yet. This is going to be a bit more advanced, but I hope that you can also apply some of these things that I say here to even less experienced groups. It's going to be from my personal point of view, obviously, so you can't really see everything, but I can go over everything that I do here, all the decisions that I decide to make, all the calls that I make to the group. You will also be able to hear them here. I have I was recording voice actually here as well. But first, let me go through the team formation and the team roles that we use here. We have 3 tanks, just like most groups. There are ways to do this with 2 tanks only, but personally haven't really come up with a way to make it more effective than having 3 tanks, at least. We have 1 main tank who is keeping the main boss at all times, does not switch aggro with anybody unless he really has to for some reason, if they are making up for a mistake. That is not going to be happening in this round, so the main tank will hold the main boss all the time. Then we have 2 off tanks. They switch the aggro between each other when it comes to mini bosses, and the one who is not holding the mini boss is going to be the one going into portal. Now, in our case, group 1 is going to be going into portal twice, and group 2 is only going to be going into portal once. Now, this is not going to be the case if you don't have fairly high group DPS, so you will probably have to go into portal 4-5 times total, something like that. It's not a big deal, it doesn't change much, but in our case it does change something, so I decided to mention that before I go more in depth. We have 2 healers, our other support players. One of them is a Templar healer who is in the group, does all the reactive healing, keeps everybody alive in tough spots. He does a really good job doing that as well. Then we have a Warden kiter. She kites the crushing darkness around the map, so that means that she's outside of the group more often than not. She also takes the shards downstairs for the portal group. For the DDs, we have 2 groups for downstairs, which both have 2 DDs and 1 off tank. That means that 4 DDs in total are going to be going into portal. That leaves 3 to stay upstairs at all times. And I mostly want to talk about the DDs who stay upstairs, because these are the positions where you really can raid lead. You can't really raid lead if you're going into portal. That's going to be kind of messy. Every time you go into portal, shit starts happening upstairs and people start dying. So really, when it comes to the DDs, you have 3 choices. Here, we personally run 1 Magblade on full damage setup. He stays on the main boss at all times, or the mini bosses, doesn't really do anything else. Then we have our Mage Slayer, Magblade, who is the one does everything upstairs that really needs to be done. And then we have the Sorcerer, who is me in this case. Now, I'm not saying you need to be the Sorcerer to raid lead efficiently. It's just the decision that I decided to make. I'm not the best Sorcerer actually out there. I'm way better on Magblade. But I just feel like if I don't have to focus on doing as much DPS, I will be able to do more actual callouts and focus on keeping the team together, I guess. You could also raid lead from the main tank position. Obviously, that would be the best choice, if you ask me. It's fairly simple, you don't really have to do anything, you see most of the map. So that would definitely be one good choice. You could also do it from the kite healer position. You can really see most of the map there as well, but sometimes you're busy taking the shards, so you might miss something when it comes to important callouts. So I don't feel like that is maybe the best option. For the full DD Nightblade, in our case, I would not make him raid lead. And I was doing that before I transitioned over to Sorcerer, and it's a bit tricky. Like, you have this huge pressure of dealing the most DPS in your group, and if you want to raid lead in that position, it might affect your own performance a bit when it comes to individual play. So I decided to be the Sorcerer, who plays mechanics, kills orbs, does really everything, the fucking janitor of the team, if you know what I mean. If you're a main tank, then it's your lucky day. I don't play tank, but as a main tank, you probably will have a way easier time leading this. Anyway, first of all, the trash pool here, I'm just gonna let it play. We stack the valleys here on the left side creeper. We pop 3 or 4 Destro ultimates here to save time. Usually the Master Architect users, they will have their cheaper ultimate up already here. Still a bit slow there. I said that was slow. My combat metric shows just about 15 seconds. That is really slow. I think our fastest here is 10.5. So I didn't use a Destro here. I usually do. And I feel like somebody else didn't use a Destro as well for some reason. Lucy on at the start. And here's one. Alright, one thing immediately that I want to talk about, horn calling. It's one of the easiest ways to make your group DPS a lot higher, and that is really what makes the difference between good and bad groups, or let's say fast and slow groups in this case. Now, it's going to take a lot of your attention at first, but you will get better at it by practice. For my setup, or my UI, I have the major force buff here, and I have the ultimates right below that, and it makes it fairly simple. You just call the ultimate when you want it, and the support will use it. When it comes to my personal role here, I kill the orbs alone most of the time. If I for some reason can't do that, then I call for help. But more often than not, you will see me kill the orbs alone. I feel like this is smart because as a sorcerer, your damage on the main boss is not nearly as big as the mag blades. And this also means that the mag blades can focus on DPSing whatever. They don't have to turn around, look for the orbs, spend a lot of time doing that. And the group DPS will stay a lot higher in this case.
Concrete, you can take main boss now.
Okay. Concrete is the main tank. We have him on Ebon and Alkos, and the off tanks are on Toruk and Alkos. That is why the main tank does not tank the main boss. It has to do with Toruk infused Crusher and the normal Crusher overlapping with each other, or rather interfering with each other. It disrupts the penetration values, if that's what you are wondering. I will not go in depth with that, that's not what this video is about. We have awful horn downtime here, guys. You need to load your fucking ultimates. Alright, I wasn't being very nice to the group there, but that is something that needs to be said. We had about 10 seconds of major force downtime because our support players were too lazy to charge up their ultimates before coming in this trial. Please make them charge their ultimates, and same goes with the DD players. If you're going for any kind of reasonable scores, everybody needs to have the ultimate up at the start of the trial.
Do I use now?
Yeah, wait a second. Alright, so in the trash pool, the guy who used the horn was the off tank of the first group. And now how this trial is timed, he is already having his second ultimate up, so before he goes in the portal, he's able to use his horn again, and we gain some group DPS there. He uses it and goes in the portal immediately. We got the first mini, nothing special here. I keep doing my job,
Overload.
calling the horns while I do everything else. Or anything else, really.
Alright, Tabby use as soon as possible.
My own?
In this case, the person whose horn I called had an overload. That happens a lot. If somebody else has a horn up at that time, you can just call that instead.
Lucy. That's right. Heals one.
If you have ice yourself, you get a maim from it. You might be a bit slower at killing the orbs. So more often than not, when I have ice, I will call for help with the orbs.
The last one.
This time I didn't have to.
Yeah, this is the last one.
Conquer horn.
Mini gem?
Flare right.
Over here.
Stack on the right side.
Ice.
Alright, I caught a stack there on the right side. This is something that you should be doing a lot as a raid leader. Now you see that on the screen there is a fire AoE on the left side. And we don't want this to be splitting the group at all. We just want every DD to be at the same position at all times as much as possible. This is for the healers, for very obvious reasons, I feel like.
Far away, so.
Got it. Save Alpha.
No.
Called some he's for the off tank, but he said he's fine.
Nah. Keep a little bit actually.
I took the ice, by the way, from a bit far back. This is something that you should be doing on Magical Sorcerer. Just play the mechanics, play them well.
Alpha horn. Stand the flame.
We need some.
Heavy coming.
Heavy.
I got Overload, and I'm also killing the orbs. Now, another reason why you might not be able to kill the orbs is if you get an Overload and you end up stuck on the wrong bar. It didn't happen to me this time, but I feel like I still fail with the orbs here, and you will see what happens. We got 2 mini bosses up, by the way. This is something that is not going to be happening unless you push the main boss a lot. Now, we do this because we obviously want to save time. We want to go for good scores, so I don't recommend obviously doing that for a group that is not as experienced, but one tank can handle 2 mini bosses just fine unless he gets some shitty mechanic and both mini bosses heavy attack at the same time. That really never happens. And in this case, there is not even a portal up, so we have 2 off tanks here upstairs, so there's no problem with the 2 minis. Alright, what happened here is well, you will see it. I had to play around some mechanics, so I did not have time to kill the orbs. You saw the orb fly in the group there, and that stunned me. I'm a bit low on HP, I have no stamina, so I call for heals immediately. This is something that...
Need heals. Great.
Alright, and our Templar healer was really woke there. He saved me, and everything goes fine after
Thanks for
that.
saving me.
Heavy coming.
Lucy horn.
Used my Destro ultimate there instead of the Atro,
Stay on the flare.
for obvious reasons.
Block. Execute fine.
Someone bash please. A heavy
Heavy.
coming.
Alright, there you actually heard me call the heavy. The lightning boss heavy. This is something that you have to... this is a thing that you have to be doing all the time. The lightning boss heavy attack is particularly a big nuisance to the main tank. If the main boss is shooting out a heavy attack and the tank happens to get stunned by one of these balls on the ground, then the main tank is dead. There's nothing they can do at that point. So it's either going to be me or the off tank calling the heavy attacks at all times. Just make the off tank or who is holding the aggro call them out as well. You will miss some of them, so hope for the best that your off tank is able to make the calls always.
Amen.
Heals horn, please.
Keep calling the horns here like usual. Now the orbs are in a bit of a bad spot, but I still managed to kill them. Now, as you saw there, my attention was elsewhere. I was killing the orbs, and the lightning boss charged up the heavy attack. My off tank called it really nicely, so that's teamwork between you 2 guys there.
Stay with the flare. Tabby home, please.
Yep.
Sometimes you will get these situations where the main boss has just moved. Now, usually you want to be always next to the main boss. This keeps the group stacked. You don't want everybody to spread out. But if there's a flare, sometimes you need to be calling the stay and just don't move after the main boss has moved. You will explode the flare and then move as a group after that.
Heavy position.
Stuck on the right side. Move out.
There again, there is a lightning field in the middle, which splits the group. Now I caught the stack on the right side, and you will see what happened.
Never mind.
Eyes on the right side. Conquer home, please. Moving right.
All of the DDs make their way to the right side.
Stack on the
There.
advice.
Also, when it comes to those cones and you have a flare in the cone, you need to make directions for your team. In our case, we made the directions from the middle, so we imagine somebody's standing in the middle and looking at the outer walls, and based on that, we go either left or right. And I always try to call it as soon as possible. You need to be quick with these callouts. If the group stays in the cone, obviously everybody gets sent downstairs. The people who have already been downstairs have the curse, will die, the group will wipe more than likely. So you need to be fast with these. Also, if the person who has the flare just doesn't move, stays in the cone, well, again, it's a group wipe more often than not.
I take it.
Off-tank didn't make it in time to interrupt the lightning boss there.
Stack on the left
It's not a
side.
big deal,
Coming.
somebody has to do that.
Absolutely. Take him.
Alright, the first creeper is up here. When it comes to killing creepers, the lightning boss is at 30% now, so he will be dead anytime soon now. Now, if you want to play it safe, you don't really have to stack the lightning boss with the main boss, but I feel like it's just something that needs to be done if you want to push the scores any further. Now, in this case, the creeper is on the other side of the room. I don't want the whole fucking group to turn around and start killing the creeper, so you will see what I do here.
Blow this up. I got the creeper. Karma, please help me.
Alright, so for the creeper you don't really need more than 2 or 3 people on it if nothing else is happening on the map. Like right now, there's only the mini boss, there's no orbs, there's nothing. So on the creeper, I called myself on it. And I asked for help from one DD. Now, in this case, the DD is the Master Architect user upstairs, or the buff Nightblade who plays mechanics. Usually this guy is your best friend when it comes to doing killing creepers and doing anything. Now, I called him by name. I called Karma, please help me with the creeper. This is something that you need to do. You can't say one guy with me on the creeper or anything like that. Obviously, that's not going to do anything. Nobody's, if it's not targeted at a single player, then nothing is going to happen.
Yep.
Lucy home, please.
And immediately, Karma is there by my side. We kill the creeper rather quickly. Meanwhile, the rest of the group is able to focus on the mini-boss. They don't have to really do anything. Anything else, that is.
Heavy coming.
And while we were killing the creeper, the mini-boss went from 30% to pretty much 2%, and it's already dead.
Heals home, please. Stuck on Grim here.
Orbs flying around, nothing special. Nobody has to focus them except for me.
Wait. And use.
Members is at 27%.
Tabby horn.
We get the last portal now.
Right side flank.
Again, there was a cone splitting the group there in the middle while we got a flare, and I had to call right side. Now I think there's one DD still on the left side, but this is something that you have to do. You just call the direction and everybody goes there. And you manage to stack it up. It's just nice. Now, actually, you heard there was an ice downstairs, which means that some DD or the off-tank made a mistake. That happens sometimes, but there's 3 people downstairs and the ice only cycles through 3 people, and you can manage the damage downstairs just fine. So I just calmly told the off-tank if they need help, just ask for somebody and somebody will go down. Now in this case, or in most cases, the person who will go help is the Master Architect Nightblade downstairs, upstairs, sorry, who is the backup really for the downstairs groups.
The ice cream.
Contract.
And the DDs downstairs, they just communicate between each other on how to handle the ice. Really well played by them.
Move to the main boss. Kill creeper left.
Alright, now there's a creeper. I made the call, kill the creeper, which means that every DD who is able is going to kill it. Now, why did I do this? Well, we are sort of in the middle of a transition phase here. Everybody's moving, so we just kill the creeper there quickly. We don't have to... Nobody really has to interrupt what they are doing in order to do that. Now, we get it killed really quickly. We have everybody on it. So it dies in a few seconds.
Coming with Sky in group.
New creeper.
Move left.
Alright, again there, I had to make a call quick. Move left, really nothing else. You need to practice this. If you hesitate, don't make a call immediately. You will end up with more than one group wipe while you're practicing doing that. Don't worry about it.
You
You'll
help me
get
with
better at
that
it.
call, please.
Yeah. Need to.
Same thing here, a creeper. Spawned on the other side of the room. I called, Karma, please help me. Now we actually have more DDs on it. Yeah, Arthas is also there to help us. It's not a big deal.
Arthas
I
moves
don't-
the mini.
I will try to.
Yeah, I actually told him to focus the
That's
mini
nothing.
instead, but it's usually no big deal if there's 3 people on the creeper.
Fire on me.
In this case, I maybe called him to go back on the mini because we are obviously trying to push the DPS as much as possible on the mini boss. So in most cases, that's not going to be as important. But in our case, we are trying to save time, so that is just something that I decided to do.
Mini tail, sorry.
And heals horn.
Ice mini went uninterrupted there for some time. That is something that your off tanks need to be doing rather quickly.
Kill
Hard
all.
casted our frag there. My bad. Bad sorcerer play there.
More damage on the mini, guys. Push the damage. Don't play safe for no reason. Lose your horn, please.
Alright, now I hardcasted a frag again, it seems. But why I called more damage on the mini is because of the fact that we don't want to be wiping the group because we are too slow. Now, obviously nobody has died in this run yet, which means that we are going to get the no death achievement if everything goes fine. Why I called everybody to play normal is because usually if this happens, you get a nice run with no deaths. Everybody starts spamming shields and lacking DPS, so just something that you need to do if you see it's necessary.
You fine keeping the mission?
Ice behind.
Don't move mini, yeah.
Alright, there I decided to make the call to not move the mini boss. It has just teleported here, and I know that it's not going to be moving on its own in a while. So this means there's nothing else either happening on the map. All DDs are now here, and we are able to burn the mini boss here without any worries in the world. So tell the off tank to keep the mini boss. So I just tell the off tank to keep the mini here, keep it still, and all the DDs are able to just burn it down really quickly.
I can horn if you want.
Yeah, use your horn, yeah. Atronach, take it. Block the comments. Karma, let's kill the creeper again.
Now there's a creeper, same thing, once again, I told Karma to help me. And there are also orbs.
Fire on
Actually, you
boss's
clear.
tail.
You clear, I got the
Fire on
orbs.
boss's tail.
And in this case, I told Karma to kill it alone, while I kill the orbs myself. Most of the other DDs are still, as you can see here, are turned towards the mini boss and focused on the mini.
What?
That is really nice.
Execute it.
Now, I managed to kill the orbs just fine, not a big deal there.
Mini is not dead, keep in mind.
Now, this is an annoying bug here. The mini seems to be standing upright even though it seems to be dead. At least there's the chain thingies around the mini, so I guess it's dead, but that confused me for a bit.
Mini is dead.
Alright, I called the mini is dead. Now, why was I hesitating for a bit there? Well, obviously the main boss is now at 9%, and you can't push the main boss to execute if one mini is alive. Now, the mini will enrage in execute, and it will become invincible as well. It will start one-shotting the tanks with light attacks through block, and it also all the mechanics are going to one-shot the DDs, so that will be a group wipe, no exception, with no exceptions. So kill the minis before killing the main boss.
Kill the members, conquer hunters. Conquer use your Alright, there's a creep on the right side. Let's just play it normal, guys. There's no reason to panic. It's a fucking video game. Some encouraging words for the team there. Listen to my call when it comes to the fun. Here's one. Now, in execute, before I roll the clip, it's fairly simple. Really, the only two things that you are kind of worried about are the fires. You need to be quick and precise with the fire callouts. If two fires happen to be on one side, then obviously somebody has to move, and as a raid leader, that is your job to arrange that. So just keep this in mind. It will take some practice, and you can't really make mistakes there. One mistake and the group is dead immediately. Also, the second thing, the ice. I feel like you have to coordinate the ice. Ice picking up, you know, very precisely as well. If an ice goes behind the group, for example, it starts traveling away from the group and nobody notices it, it's going to give huge amounts of damage to the group, and it will kill some people and wipe the group again. Obviously, the one thing outside of that is the lightning thingy, but that is just, let's say, that is a fairly simple mechanic. It's really nothing that should be worried about. We got the first flare here. Now I have an add-on here that tells me really what to do, but we do not go based on this add-on. We go based on my callouts, or the callouts of the person who has the fire. Now, you will see what I say here. I'm staying on the right. Alright, no, I know where my DDs are, I know which guy is in which group, so I thought, I knew that Noga is in the left group, and I am in the right group, so I simply just call I'm staying on the right. Oh, sorry. There's really nothing too important going on here, to be honest. Tabatta, right?
Okay, I will stop.
Yeah. Alright, there a flare again.
Nice try.
Shield up, guys. The boss is getting rather low. Conquer home.
I have plus open, nice. Need to be feeling.
Taking out Creeper, execute members. Now the main boss is at 13%. The Creeper just spawned now. Obviously, you don't want to be killing that again. I just made a call to execute the main boss, ignore the Creeper. Careful with the orbs, don't get hit. Execute members. Also, the orbs are one thing that is going to wipe the group in execute. If somebody gets hit, like if an orb spawns next to the group and somebody gets hit by an orb, well, it's usually a group wipe immediately. So you need to be very careful with the orbs, and immediately as you see the orbs appear, you need to be calling them, you need to be making everybody alert when it comes to that. Don't use.
Pretty nice.
Great, guys, that's great.
What? This Gryphon Heart? I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fucking animal.
Alright, so yeah. That was our best run. It was not our fastest run, but 129.5 with full vitality as well as the Gryphon Heart achievement, which is nice. This ended up being our last run in Cloudrest. We are not interested currently in pushing the world record score, and we will go to other trials. But we did have one run that was actually faster than this, but we had plenty of deaths, so we had our chance beating the world record, but that's not really too important. We are really happy with the progress that the group has made. But I just want to say some encouraging words to every group or every raid leader whose group is struggling in Cloudrest at the moment. It's a hard trial, and it will take time to progress through this. Now, that is due to the nature of this trial. Like every simple mistake, even simple mistakes can wipe the group, because racing here is so hard, and there's just so many mechanics that are guaranteed to kill you if not played correctly. But I guess that is the same for all trials, really. So just take your time, guys. It's not a race. It's not a race by any means. Just try to always learn from your mistakes as a raid leader, and also make sure that everybody in your group learns from their mistakes as well. You don't need to be blaming anybody for any mistakes. You don't need to be an asshole to do it. You can just go over these things in a calm and well-mannered way, so to say. My personal DPS around 39k, I think on multi-target it's nothing special, but it's not bad either. So yeah, as I said, your role as a sorcerer here is not to pull the greatest DPS. I'm going to, in the description, link some videos from our players, and you can also watch those. But outside of that, guys, please leave me any questions. I'm happy to help when it comes to this trial, or really anything. But yeah, I feel like that's it. I probably shouldn't drag this video on any longer. But guys, take care, have fun in Cloudrest, and I'll see you later.